Morning, this is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. A perfect sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. That's nice after a 45-degree night. It was pretty cold last night. Actually, it's just after 11 right now and only just getting comfortable outside. It's going to be a good day of work today, working on the tiny house on wheels. The plan today is to get some paneling going. Now, the reason I didn't start early on this when it was 45 degrees in here is because I am not going to be messing around with a old junk table saw with no guards and no extra tools with frozen numb fingers. Sorry, I'm sure there are better men than me out there who will say I'm stupid, but I prefer to keep all my fingers. Sort of actually going to win a bet with somebody who said that most people who do this type of work lose some digits, and I plan to keep all of mine. So anyway, it's now 54 degrees in here. I've had the windows upstairs and downstairs open to flow air through here. Warms it up quickly. We get quite a bit of airflow going from down to up, and it warms it up in here nicely. Gets a good breeze going in this place. So I'm going to fire up the generator and the table saw, and I'm going to start cutting myself some paneling, and I'll have this wall done very soon, I think. And then after that, I'm really thinking a lot about the wood stove. I have mixed advice and suggestions from people. I'm trying to decide which way to go on that, but I want to finish putting the radiant foil in here. But the reason I have stopped on that part is I still am undecided whether through the wall or through the roof. There are pros and cons of both, but the thing that I don't like, the biggest thing I don't like about through the roof is the cleaning the stovepipe. Because I'll show you what my biggest concern is with this particular wood stove. The pipe exhausts straight out the back. Okay, here's one thing. So if I was to go through the wall, no problem. Straight out the wall and then one elbow up and outside. No problem, done. For cleaning the chimney pipe later on, you just pop it off, pound the thing out on the ground, and put it back in. No big deal. All the dust comes out on the ground, and creosote and everything comes out on the ground, outdoors, and you're good. Here's why if I put it through the roof, that is not so simple. There's a shield here which makes this stove extra efficient, and this shield, I need to put a bolt in there, but this shield essentially blocks all that dust and ash from coming out, unless I of course took that shield off. But then you'd have to still get in there and pull that filth out from the, if I went through the roof, I'd be coming out and then up indoors, and all that filth would be in the pipes inside. And if one of those pipes came off, what a mess. So another advantage of through the wall as compared to through the roof, somebody told me very simply, if you ever had a chimney fire, you just go outside and pop off the pipe, and the fire's outside, not indoors. If you're indoors and there's a chimney fire, you're in trouble. But having the pipe through the roof, you get all that heat indoors. All that heat comes indoors in the house. And also, if the pipe is through the roof, you don't get any downdrafts like you would with the pipe outdoors. With the pipe outdoors, straight through the wall and then out, you have the possibility and potential for more downdrafts because the pipe cools off faster and it's harder to get that pipe heated up in the dead of winter. So I'm really struggling with this decision. Now, I think this is like between a 50 and 80,000 BTU stove, and it's really efficient. It's an efficient design and airtight. Chances are it'll heat up my house nicely anyway. Just gotta figure that out. That's the thing. I just have to make my decision and get this in there. And the other thing is, since I put the stairwell here, you know, I had the ideas and stuff, but I couldn't really visualize it as well. But now with the stairwell here, if I put the wood stove here, I'll have to be really careful and have a heat shield over here. So I gotta figure that out. Now you cannot, some people have said, why don't you just go and have the pipe come out and up a ways and through the wall up higher. Sounds good, but you are only allowed 2 elbows in a stovepipe for safety. So if I came out the back, you'd have an elbow right there immediately, and then you come up with a pipe and you'd have another elbow to go through, and then you'd have to elbow again. 3, forbidden, bad business. So, and it makes a nightmare for cleaning the pipes again. And this is why I'm giving this a lot of thought right now before I proceed with this section of wall. I've really got to figure that out. So that's on standby right now. Reload. People are asking me often, why am I using so many brads? Well, these are 18 gauge, super small, super thin brads. There's not much substance to them, and I'm doing 24 on center paneling here, so the boards are going to flex. They're also aged wood, so they're definitely not the hottest to begin with. And they're going to flex and warp. So, that's why I put 3 each now. So you might notice I tack them on first. Then I go at 2 different angles to make sure that there's different forces on that wood. Keep it in place. Well, see, it goes fast on the sides of the windows because I go out and I cut a bunch, and then I just come in here and pop them in place. But the long ones, once they get below the window, that's what goes slower. Somebody asked me the other day, when you say sometimes it goes fast, sometimes it goes slow. Well, that's true. Depends on where I'm working. By the windows here, super fast, because 54 inches, 54, 54, 54, 54. But if you look at the top pieces here, I've staggered them. See, there's a seam there, and over here's a seam. Now that takes longer to get the nice pattern in when it's staggered. So that'll take longer at the bottom for that. Plus they're longer boards, and I got to find a board that fits right. And measure them out, and anyway, I had to go get some more wood cut. Well, I had to replace my blade. It didn't last that long, really. That was a DeWalt $30 blade, but it was starting to get burnt. This aged wood is hard cutting, and this blade was overheating it was actually warping the wood as I was cutting, and I just wrecked a beautiful piece because it was warping as I was cutting. So I flipped it around to the other side, and it still kept jamming up in the blade, and that was the end. The blade, when it got done fast. It wrecked that piece there. It was seizing up and there was nothing I could do. So I might try to get two good pieces out of that strip, out of that board, because it's pretty wood. It's got some pinks in it too. But boy, the blade was binding up really bad in there. So that had to go. That one was done. I'm going to put the camera on the charger because it's done as well, and continue ripping some more pieces of paneling. Well, this poor old saw has seen better days, that's for sure. I don't know how close up I showed you this before, but this has been broken up really badly on both sides. The whole back end is just smashed to pieces, and I've just got it clamped together with a piece of wood that's keeping the pressure as I feed the wood through. I ran out of containers for the sawdust, so I'm just letting it fall down on the ground. It's some fine sawdust, really nice stuff. I filled up a 50-pound bag and a 20-pound bag and a 5-gallon bucket. And I was going to try to squeeze this bucket underneath, but I can't get it under there. And honestly, it's too much work changing that bag every few boards. So I'm just going to let it pile up and shovel it out into buckets from there. But that's good composting material and bedding for the birds. So actually, depending on how much I get, I might be able to dump it all in the garden later. When I run the wood chipper through there, or the wood through the wood chipper, all this junk will be going through the wood chipper. That's all cutoffs and odds and ends from the lumberyard haul, whatever I'm not using. Now, this poor old thing keeps, I've kept having varied, well, tapered boards. Funny, now I'm looking for one, I can't find a good example. But I kept getting tapered boards, cutting my paneling. I just ran a whole mess of paneling through. Let me see, here's a good example. See, it's thicker here than it is down here. This one is another, yeah, here it's thicker, here it's narrower. And now I know why. Here I thought it was me. I was sitting here trying to push those boards against the fence harder and harder. And that's why I burned up my saw blade. I was putting too much pressure on that stuff. And really putting a lot of pressure against that fence, and I burned up my other saw blade, probably prematurely. But I found out why. The blade kept going off at an angle, and here I was trusting the machine to be good, and it's not. The angle, it was dropping 5-10 degrees, and what was going on is the adjustment is over here, and the handle being upright at 0 degrees, there was enough weight on it, it was vibrating itself downwards, and then it kept on actually going a couple turns. And so I put a rubber bungee strap on it to hold the thing in place, and now I've got no more bad cuts and angled pieces of wood. So, oh, this old saw is really a workhorse for me. I tell you, it's not pretty, and it's got some glitches and problems, but it's a serious workhorse for me. So it's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and all I've managed to do is cut a pile of paneling, but that'll pretty much be enough probably to finish this wall, which I've done nothing since I showed you except for cutting lumber and changing my saw blade earlier. I might have to cut a few more boards, we'll see. But I'm going to keep working on this today and knock out this whole wall, and then I'll have a living room. It is getting narrower in here. I tell you, with the walls closed in, it looks smaller. It looks a lot smaller now. Well, of course, my walls are thick. You can see, get an idea how thick the walls are. They're 7.5 inches thick. So that's no joke. When I get the siding on outdoors and all the way through to the interior paneling, but I'm tired of freezing. I'm tired of suffering in winter, so I'm gonna do it. Well, I'll have some lunch, I think, and then I'll get working on this wall. I'm warming up the little Harbor Freight 800 watt generator. Smokes a lot when it's cold. Because I don't need the big boy for just running the air compressor. The little guy runs that well, and it's quieter. And honestly, I am tired of hearing that big machine running all the time. It's so loud and annoying. And this little guy is not much louder than a moped. So it's just much more comfortable to use. And it uses less gas. So that'll be good. I did an experiment a while back. I want to show you. I took some used motor oil and I took a piece of scrap paneling that I had made, and I just simply soaked it in a little bit of motor oil. Now this was the dirtiest of the dirtiest, but I don't know, it doesn't look too bad. It's been sitting out for a few days now. I don't even know if it's been hit by rain or not, but it's definitely been in the sun, and I think it'll do its job. So that's just used waste motor oil. Now I'm going to check the EPA and state and federal and everything else and make sure I don't get in trouble doing this, because guaranteed if there's a law against it and I do it, I'll be in trouble because of my happy trolls. So anyway, it will work. That I know. I just have to know if I legally can do it or not. But it's not bad looking. So this has to run 2 minutes before you can use it. I'm going to be cutting up some of my homemade paneling, and then I'll get in there and put it all up. I'll show you after I finish that. I got this half done. Now I'm going to work on this half. I've got all the boards cut. The air compressor's charged up, so I'll let you watch real quick and I'll do this in fast forward. Somehow I got a wrong size. I'm gonna have to shave that. But that's a darker pink corner over there. I am randomly grabbing whatever I grab. I am not looking at colors or anything really. I'm letting the pure chance choose what goes where here. Somebody mentioned I should randomize my colors more. Well, that just happens to be what I grabbed out of the wood pile at the time. And honestly, I think the randomness of pure chance is working for me. Some of these are really amazing, but I like it. It's all that matters, right? Wow. It's gonna be a living room today with one finished wall. I'm already using the windowsill. I got my coffee cup on the windowsill. It's funny. Already using it. Well, I gotta figure out how to trim that piece, and then gotta cut some more wood. Well, this is as far as I got. The saw was getting really hot, so the boards I cut were not quite long enough to properly be used here. I've got a knot I've got to glue in. I used my Sawzall to cut this one piece off here. Where's my finger? Right here. That one was too long. I'm gonna knock that knot out. So I'll glue him in later. But it's getting dark inside, and I could probably shave off another. I could maybe run a couple more boards yet. Let's see what I can do. It's getting late, but I'll see what I can do yet today. It'd be good to get this done, but it isn't happening. But if you consider, it's not bad for a day of work, honestly, cutting all that myself and putting it up. Well, what I did do is I cleaned up the house a little bit, and I don't know if you noticed, but I got all the ladder and all the tools and junk that was here, put the wood back in the corner, cleaned out this middle area and put everything on top of the table so that I've got space to work around, and it's a lot more open here. Baby cat approves of the house, don't you? Baby cat, do you like the house? Anyway, I am sitting here calculating how that wood stove is going to go in, and I'm thinking, unfortunately, it's going to have to come out a little bit further. So that's why I cleaned up in here, so I've got space to look around and work in and try to figure out how that's going to go. I am leaning more towards putting the pipe straight up through the ceiling now, after really thinking about it a lot. I'll get more heat, and if I do need... No, baby cat, you can't go out there. Get down from there. I put the screens in to keep her in. Get down. Stopped her dead in her tracks. I better shut this window. This is the only one without a screen. I had it open because I just swept. You can come up here. She understands me. I know she does, don't you? You're gonna spend long hours up there in that window ledge, aren't you? Huh? So anyway, where was I? Oh, the wood stove. Yeah, I think if I'm gonna clean it, I'll see, I've got this insulated pipe already that goes through the roof, and I've got the mounting equipment. I paid $350 for that stuff a few years ago, and I might as well use it. So all I'll have to get then is the 90-degree angle pipe and enough sections to go up and fit into the insulated pipe, and then a piece on the top and a rain cap up on the outside. So, oh, and the gaskets, what do you call that stuff? The flashing. Problem is, I'm not sure how I'd seal that, because that's like a corrugated, is that what you call it? It's got the waves in it, the roof. So I'm not sure how I'd seal that flashing on there unless you use tar, a lot of tar. So, but I think that's how it's going to be. But I'm thinking the wood stove is going to sit at an angle here. I'm probably going to extend the wheel well like in a square pattern outwards like this, and then have the stove coming out this way, so it's got clearance on enough clearance on all the sides. Now the back, it's got a heat shield on the back, so that's convenient. It doesn't need as much clearance on the back. And then I think this might be a good thing that I had to stop here with this, because I might end up putting my little bit of masonry wall right here. So when John arrives tomorrow, the first thing I'm going to do is have him help me get that wood stove in here, set it up right there, and then I can try to figure out how this is going to go together. I can't lift it alone, and that's another reason I didn't want it in here. It would be in the way. But now I think I'm at the point where I need to have it in here so I can see what's going on. Actually, we need to finish these first pieces of insulation before we bring that stove in. Because again, it'll be in the way of everything. It'll be in the way of the ladder, it'll be in the way of work. So that's why I've been putting it off, but I think we're getting to the time where I need it in here so I can figure this out. And it would be nice to do some test burns before it gets really cold. And it'll keep the humidity out of here as I work, which will help preserve the walls nicely. So, you can't go out that window either. I think I'm going to go take a trip to Home Depot and see what kind of materials they've got for wood stoves. They do have some wood stove type stuff. I need a fire resistant shield on the bottom underneath the wood stove, and I'm going to put a little bit of a masonry wall on the side of it using bricks, and that'll be spaced away from the wall a little bit and have an air gap under it. So I think that's how it's going to be. I think that's how I'm going to do it. And then just for looks, I think I'll extend that wall in a little bit. 2 bricks past, or 2 feet in and 2 feet out this way and 2 feet in that way, so it'll look nice and balanced. And then once I get that in here, then the stovepipe will extend somewhere around into here, halfway between this wall, and I'll put heat shielding on there. I have an idea how I'm going to do that already, and that should give me plenty of room to get by here, to get around into the stairwell. And for safety, I might end up putting some kind of a wall or something, a divider. I'll figure that out. But yep, tomorrow we'll bring it in.